The school had just called to tell me my son was suspended, and as I sat crying alone in my car afterward, I remember asking God one question over and over. Why does everything in my life keep falling apart?
Welcome back to God Showed Up Stories. Tonight's story is for every exhausted mother, every overwhelmed wife, and every person silently carrying the emotional weight of an entire family while pretending to stay strong. Some people don't break loudly. Some people break quietly while still packing lunches, paying bills, cleaning kitchens, going to work, and trying to hold everyone else together. And if you've ever felt emotionally drained, spiritually distant, or invisible inside your own struggles, this story is for you. Before we begin, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this story with someone who may need encouragement tonight. And comment below. Have you ever gone through a season where you kept showing up for everyone else while quietly falling apart inside? No matter how long the broken season lasts, never forget this. God still knows how to restore weary hearts.
For a long time, I kept telling myself things would eventually get better. That's what I repeated in my head every morning while driving to work before sunrise. That's what I whispered while washing dishes late at night after everyone went to bed. That's what I prayed while staring at overdue bills spread across the kitchen counter. Things won't always feel this heavy. But after a while, even those words started sounding empty. My husband used to laugh easily. He used to talk about ideas constantly. Dreams, plans, business goals, family vacations, future projects. But after his small business collapsed during the economy downturn, something inside him changed. At first, I understood. I tried to encourage him, tried to stay hopeful for both of us. But month after month, he became quieter, more distant, more frustrated. Eventually, entire evenings passed where he barely spoke more than a few sentences. Sometimes he would sit alone in the garage for hours staring silently at nothing. Other times he snapped over small things and immediately regretted it afterward. The pressure inside our home became something nobody talked about directly, but everybody felt, especially our children. Our teenage son started acting differently too. More angry, more defensive. School calls became more frequent. Missing assignments, arguments with teachers, detention. At first, I kept telling myself it was just a phase, but deep down, I knew he was carrying the tension from our home in ways he didn't know how to express. Even my younger daughter noticed more than we realized. One night, while I was tucking her into bed, she quietly asked, "Why does everybody seem sad lately?" That question stayed with me for days, because I didn't know how to answer it. The truth was, I was exhausted. Not regular tired, soul tired. I worked long hours trying to keep our household functioning while emotionally carrying everyone at the same time. I handled the bills, the groceries, the schedules, the school meetings, the emotional tension, the constant fear about money. And somewhere along the way, I stopped recognizing myself too. I still prayed every day, but my prayers felt distant, like my words were floating into silence. God, please help this family. Please fix whatever is breaking us. Please don't let everything fall apart. But nothing changed overnight. That was the hardest part. I kept waiting for one dramatic moment where life suddenly turned around. Instead, things kept feeling heavier. One afternoon, while finishing a long shift at work, my phone rang. The school. Immediately, my stomach dropped. The principal explained that my son had gotten into a fight and was being suspended. I remember closing my eyes while she spoke because I suddenly felt too emotionally drained to even process another problem. When I hung up the phone, I sat in my car gripping the steering wheel while traffic moved around me outside. And for the first time in months, I completely broke down. Not quietly, not gracefully. I cried so hard I could barely breathe. Years of pressure finally poured out all at once. I remember asking God through tears, "What am I doing wrong? Why can't I fix this family? Why does it feel like everything keeps slipping away from me?" I stayed parked there nearly 30 minutes before finally driving home. That night felt unusually heavy. My husband barely spoke during dinner. My son stayed angry and defensive. My daughter sat quietly eating while glancing nervously between all of us. And somewhere deep inside, I felt completely empty. Around 4 in the morning, unable to sleep, I quietly left the house and started walking through the neighborhood while the sky was still dark blue before sunrise. The streets were silent. Cold air drifted through the trees, while porch lights glowed softly in the distance. Eventually, I reached a small park a few blocks from our house and sat down on a bench near the walking path. I remember staring at the ground, wondering how long a person could keep carrying emotional weight before finally collapsing underneath it. That's when I noticed an older woman slowly walking nearby with a small coffee cup in her hand. She smiled politely before sitting on the opposite end of the bench. For several minutes, neither of us spoke. Then she looked toward the sunrise, beginning to peek through the trees, and quietly said, "Hard seasons feel longer before the sun comes back." Something about the way she said it caught my attention immediately. Not dramatic, not forced, just calm, gentle, human. I laughed softly and admitted, "Feels like my family's been stuck in a storm for a long time." She nodded slowly like she understood exactly what I meant. And then, without making the conversation feel heavy, she started sharing pieces of her own story. She talked about losing their home years earlier, her husband falling into depression afterward, her children struggling emotionally during that season. She admitted there were nights she cried alone because she thought her family would never feel whole again. But then she said something I still think about often. God usually healed my family slowly, not instantly. I looked at her quietly while she continued. I spent years praying for miracles, while God was actually rebuilding us one small piece at a time. That sentence settled deeply inside me, because I realized I had been measuring God's presence by whether my problems disappeared quickly. But maybe healing wasn't always dramatic. Maybe sometimes healing looked like surviving another difficult day without giving up. Maybe restoration could happen quietly, slowly, humanly. Before leaving, she smiled warmly and said, "Don't underestimate what your quiet strength is teaching your family." I sat there long after she walked away, the sunrise slowly filling the park with warm, golden light. And for the first time in a very long time, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Hope, not perfect certainty, not instant peace, just enough hope to breathe again. The following months didn't transform our lives overnight, but little things slowly started changing. My husband eventually began opening up emotionally again. One evening, he finally admitted how ashamed and lost he had been feeling since losing his business. And instead of arguing, we simply sat together and cried honestly for the first time in years. My son slowly softened too. After seeing me continue showing up for the family even during the hardest moments, something in him began changing. His anger became less explosive. He started helping more around the house. Even his teachers noticed the difference. Small financial opportunities started appearing too. Nothing flashy, just little doors opening one by one. Extra work hours, freelance jobs for my husband, unexpected help, better weeks slowly replacing survival mode. But honestly, the biggest miracle wasn't financial. It was emotional. Our house slowly started feeling peaceful again. Laughter slowly returned. Conversations became warmer. Dinner stopped feeling tense. And I started feeling emotionally alive again, too. Looking back now, I realize God didn't abandon us during those broken years. He was quietly walking with us through them, teaching us how to heal slowly, teaching us how to love each other honestly again, teaching us that even exhausted people can still carry strength they don't realize they have. And maybe someone watching this tonight needs to hear that too. You may feel emotionally worn down. You may feel invisible carrying everybody else's burdens. You may feel spiritually distant and tired of praying the same prayers over and over. But your broken season is not the end of your story. Sometimes God restores families quietly, one conversation at a time, one sunrise at a time, one small moment of hope at a time.
If this story encouraged you today, comment "God showed up" down below. And if you believe God can heal emotionally broken relationships, comment, God restores hearts. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to God Showed Up Stories, and turn on your notifications so you never miss another powerful testimony. And share this video with someone emotionally struggling with family pain or betrayal right now. Thanks for watching. And remember, God always shows up right on time.